Welcome to NHL Nightly on Hot Take Hockey with your host, Jeremiah Maxwell, a.k.a. the Sports Beard. Along with Pearlo Wisdom, the NHL handicapper extraordinaire. And Rico and Pearlo, goal-scoring prop dynamo.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to NHL Nightly. I'm your host, Jeremiah Maxwell, a.k.a. the Sports Beard. With me, as always, Pearlo Wisdom. And we have our special guest, Nick, from Twisted Wrister Hockey. I know everybody in the YouTube community knows Nick. He's been doing it for a while. How many years have you been doing Twisted Wrister now?
7 years. Yeah. My channel, I think my first video was 7 years as of tomorrow.
Yeah. Awesome. Congrats, man. That's cool. This is the first time I've gotten to kind of get to know you and have you on. So I'm excited. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for doing this.
I appreciate you bringing me on, and I'm honored that we'd get to do this, while you're still running the show here.
Yeah. Well, I'll still be doing NHL Nightly on the Sports Beard. So just to get the news out of the way for everybody, this will be our last show on Hot Take Hockey for the year. For now, for indefinitely, whatever. John will be doing his own content still, but you can leave a like, subscribe, check out the Sports Beard. We're sitting there strong, trying to make some waves, and we've got some good things coming. NHL Nightly, we're going to switch back to a 10:10 Eastern time and 4 days a week. That works well for our guys' schedule, just to let everybody know. So. Oh, yes, Catherine Craig. All right. Congrats to your Jackets. I know you were stoked all day. It was nice to get to talk to you and all the other chats where you may know me from the chats. So I appreciate everybody. So we brought Twisted Wrister on. We had a great game tonight against Montreal and the San Jose Sharks. That's your team. That's a team that you loved. I know you cover everybody. You talk all NHL like we do here. But what's your how are you feeling? I mean, you've got to love what they've done. I mean, they've added a lot of assets. Obviously, they're a few years away. Celebrini looks amazing. Smith looks amazing. Do they make any big trades or?
I think that we've already seen that for the season. I mean, I think that they could certainly still find 2 or 3 other players that they want to move, but I think that they're not going to fetch quite the amount that they got in return for somebody like Mikhail Granlund and Cody Ceci when they were bundled and sent over to Dallas. And then earlier this season, they had traded away Mackenzie Blackwood. I mean, those were guys that they weren't like the future of the Sharks per se, but they helped this team, stay competitive in games. And I just can't imagine what it would be like if we had, Mackenzie Blackwood in goal right now tonight, Mikhail Granlund centering the second line, drop Winberg down to the third line. It's like, this team could be a pain in the butt to play against. They've done a nice job coming out of the Four Nations faceoff, but it's still a long way away in terms of being able to be competitive on a night in, night out basis. And yeah, it's been kind of frustrating in the sense that here you have your not generational talent per se, but you have this blue chip 18-year-old just driving everything out there, and it's
isn't he 19? I thought he was 19. He played at BU last year. I got to see him in the Frozen Four, actually. In Celebrini. I was there when he was awarded the Hobie Baker Award, actually, because I go to the Frozen Four every year. Yeah, he's incredible.
Yeah, still 18, by the way.
Oh, he is, but he turns 19 this year, does he not?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because, he was a 17-year-old with college, but I knew it wasn't the whole time. Incredible. I think... Though you have to look at the assets that Greer's added. And yes, it sucks that you're losing Granlund and Ceci, but those are players that you can replace. I mean, I don't think they trade to Foley. Now, I did want to ask you, what are your thoughts? Do they move on from a guy like Mario Ferraro? And the only reason I ask, not that you want to see a guy like that go, because I definitely, if I was a Sharks fan, I love that guy. I think he's great. Obviously, my friends Johnny Lazarus and Colby Cohen interviewed him on Morning Cup of Hockey. Laz played with him at UMass. I know that there's a little bit of rumors that maybe Colorado's really interested in bringing him in because they've been really needing some defensive help. He played with Cale Makar at UMass. That's a guy I would be like, could you, if you got a couple picks and maybe a Cal Ritchie or something for him, would you make that move?
I mean, yeah, I think for the right price, they should be open to Ferraro. His last year of his deal is next year, so I don't think the pressure needs to be on so much. I mean, when you consider the fact that yeah, they already lost Granlund in a totally different position, but Ferraro has been, a leader in a sense, not necessarily with his play, but he's really loved by his teammates, by the community, of course. But yeah, his skill isn't top end per se, but if you paired him with somebody he's played with before, like Hale McCarr, I wonder what that would make him look like. That would be kind of an interesting dynamic. But
he's a defensive dynamo, I think. Every time I watch Ferraro play, I'm very impressed with his defensive acumen. I think he's one of the best defensive defensemen in the NHL.
I think he's sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah, no.
I was just going to say that
you, not me.
I mean, he sells out to make any play out there. That's the thing with him. He is. I don't mean a punching bag in a negative way. I mean it like he can take a lot of abuse out there for someone who's not like Shea Weber physically, right? So he does a good job from that end of things, and he could be useful for a penalty kill, sure.
Yep. Awesome. Jake says Ferraro's the only guy on that defense that doesn't make me sad. Yep. I hear you, buddy. Yeah.
So a whole lot on this team though.
Yeah. So I mean, I know it's been a frustrating few years for Sharks fans. I mean, I just remember like, I kind of grew up rooting for the Caps. I'm a Caps fan. The fans know that's the team I root for. And I just know that we never beat San Jose in San Jose. Like you would go on that California road swing and you'd be lucky if you didn't go 0-3 between the meat grinder. The Ducks the Kings were Stanley Cup contending. Obviously you guys went on that huge run for years where you were either in the cup finals competing for the puck. Don't worry. I mean, I was definitely rooting for you when you were playing Pittsburgh. That's for sure. I kind of associate San Jose a little bit with the Washington Capitals fans. They haven't been around as long, but they've been very good teams, but they just haven't gotten over the pinnacle yet. And I think you will at some point in your lifetime for sure. And also, can we say this? And I know if you have ESPN Plus or whatever, you get to pick your broadcast crew. Randy Hahn, Drew Remenda is one of my favorite crews to listen to. I think they are just spectacular. I think it doesn't get better than Randy Hahn. And I love Joe Beninati, Craig Laughlin. Get better, Locker. We're waiting for you to get back from heart surgery. But it's not the same without him. But I mean, those guys are incredible. And I love Scott Hannon played a little bit for the Caps. I mean, he's kind of a lifelong Shark. But I love the guys they have on your broadcast booth there too. It's a good group, man. So, I mean, even if you're watching them lose, and we have a joke here on the show, Nick, we do a little bit of gambling segment at the end, which you don't have to hang out for, but we always talk, but bet the Sharks plus 1.5. They're going to probably win. I had that tonight. I mean, I didn't bet any money. Obviously I don't bet, but Pearlo and Rico do, and they're all over it. So I just wonder there, how do you feel about that? And there always a silver lining to a gray cloud. If you're a fan, there's always something good. I don't know where you feel about Randy Hahn and Drew Remenda and maybe those guys. You're muted, Nick.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I was typing. I didn't want to be clickety clack.
Yeah, you're okay. You're okay. Yep.
And again, I'm using a good microphone, at least.
You sound great, man. You sound wonderful. Yeah. I hope I don't sound too loud. I had to get a new one myself, man. I had to go get me one of them Shure ones because I did an interview with Sammy Silver from the Hockey News, and it was horrible. I was so embarrassed. So you know how it goes when your equipment craps out on you.
Yeah.
So it's just the way it is. So, but go ahead, expound. And then Rico and Pearlo, definitely I want them to talk to you and ask questions. I mean, it's awesome that tomorrow, 7 years, happy anniversary, man. Unbelievable. Incredible. I know you have a really stout fan base on YouTube and stuff. So I've been a fan of you. It's hard when you do stuff yourself to kind of do other things with other people. It's hard to work it out. Pittsburgh won in overtime, by the way.
Crazy game, as y'all were saying earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have any comment about the broadcast crew or?
Oh, my bad. Well, I mean, it's interesting that like Randy and Drew have now, this is like their third stint together, because Drew had been basically fired. This is back in like the late aughts for, being too critical.
What? Isn't that
Yeah,
an
yeah.
analyst job? Okay.
I know, right? I mean, it's a little bit different when he works, in Edmonton. I'm sure the expectations are different for that franchise. Whereas in the Bay Area, that's like one of the chillest media markets, especially if you're a hockey team, But yeah, they've been awesome just throughout my adult life. They are the soundtrack to my adult life in a lot of ways. But I was going to also mention that Joe Beninati is so unique, his cadence, his voice, right? That I'll often, if I want to tune into some sort of hockey game, I do have a bit of a soft spot for the Capitals, but part of that is because I love Beninati's voice so much that like
Sure.
I'll be like, okay, well I'm gonna listen to this game. I'm gonna have him on the broadcast, even if they're playing a team that has a better record than them.
Yeah. No, I think, just a caveat to you. I think that they do a very fair job. I think Locker and Joe B always call it like they see it. They don't favor the Caps. I mean, the calls are very, awesome in favor of the Caps when they score and stuff like that, but they'll be critical when critical, and that's why I like Randy and Drew so much too. That, they'll call play like they see it, but it's just the enthusiasm and stuff. So anyway, finish your thought. I apologize.
Oh, that was just about it. I was just replying to a comment on the Sharks maybe moving on from Alex Wenberg, who has one more year left on his deal. He's been the second line center for them recently because
I think they got, I know your thing's coming in now to the chat there. So, and we could have the chat ask questions too. And I saw there was some trade stuff too. We'll get into some of that with Twisted Wrister. We got to talk some hockey trades and stuff, but Rico and Pearlo, I want to open up the door for you guys to talk to Twisted Wrister just about his channel or whatever you guys want. So
he kind of stole my question. I was going to say about Alexander Wenberg, if they're going to hold off on him. And, they're going to keep a couple veterans there for sure. I was kind of wondering because Alexander Wenberg is such a good two-way player. To me, it was like he's a really good guy to have there for guys like Will Smith and, Macklin. I don't know if you really have to teach him much more about that. He's just such a genius when it comes to being a two-way player as it is.
Yes.
But, future players coming in, to me, Wenberg is like one of the most underrated two-way players in the game. And I was just wondering if they maybe hold on to him. But I guess that would depend on what they're going to get back for him too, right? Like if you can get a first and something substantial for him, maybe you got to move on. And then I don't know what Alexander Wenberg thinks about sticking around in San Jose as well. Also, Barclay Goodrow. What about Barclay? Is he pretty much set in there now? Like he's one of those great locker room guys, leaders that maybe best to keep around for that purposes.
Well, the challenge is that they have him for 2 more years after this at like 3.2 million. Oh, we're looking at the cap right now. Yeah, and I mean he's been a liability.
I just wanted to pull that up for you if you needed it. Go ahead. Sorry, Barclay's been a liability for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, not every game, but it's just that the Sharks have too many players that are kind of like him right now, and it's like he's not doing enough to get more ice time than some of the other players out there. The Klim Kostins, the Ty Dellandry is on this team, so they have a lot of that in their bottom six, and sometimes that's even coming into the top line as well. With good, like here, the way I see it with the Sharks from a cap management perspective is that I could definitely see them buying out Marc-Edouard Vlasic in the offseason. And he would, he only has 1 year left on his deal at $7 million. So the cap hit's going to be much more affordable for them for 2 years. And then after that, I think that they'll buy in 2026, they'll buy out the last year for Goodrow. So if we look at players that the Sharks could trade, I think that among the forwards, Luke Cunningham would probably be the one drawing the most interest. He's been really good on their penalty kill, kind of like Goodrow does. He's had some moments this season where he's actually done things offensively, even though that's really not the forte of his game so much. I would rather. I think that we could actually get more value if we were to trade Cunnin. The other thing is that the Sharks don't have any salary retention spots available right now, so
Yeah.
Cunning's
Somebody's-
way
Yeah.
cheaper than Goodrow. So that is a much more feasible deal for the Sharks to make.
Yeah, I don't think you'd have to retain on a guy like Kunin or Mario Ferraro for that matter. Rico, do you have anything, or I can take this off too and go back to?
Yeah, no, I kind of do. Speaking of Granlund earlier, I mean, it kind of sucks that they moved on from him, but the one thing there's always a positive side to it, and I think the positive side was Eklund and Zetterlund getting to learn playing alongside him as well too, getting to play with Granlund for that time. So, yeah, you answered my question about Vlasic. I was just wondering his future as well. Like I'm an old man, so I like the Sharks from the early 2000s and stuff. I wish that Thornton, Pavelski, Burns, Marlowe, and the boys won a cup, but unfortunately they don't have one, so the future's bright there. Yeah, looking at Vlasic, also thinking about another guy like Logan Couture as well too. Where do you see him fitting with this team in the future? Do you think he's gonna end his career in San Jose? I know he's got some sort of modified no trade, I think, but I'm just wondering what you think we're gonna see from him down the road.
We're not going to see him at all, are we? Are we going to see him play? And to caveat on Rico's, I've heard he may not ever play.
It has been dead silent on that front all season long. And don't forget, he only played 6 games last year. So he's 30. He's 30. Turns 36 this year. Yeah. I honestly don't think he's ever going to play again. Here he was tough. Like kind of go before the injury, or like after the injury. I think that's when he had his first kid. He got married, right? It's kind of like turning the page a little bit, right? I'm kind of surprised that he hasn't just decided to call it quits already. But hey, if he has more time to make that decision, I understand. But with how long it's been since he played, anywhere close to a full season with us, I would hope that that he knows it's time, considering again it's been so quiet. There's been no updates, progress.
Well, regardless, Shea Weber is on the Utah Hockey Club and he's in the Hall of Fame. So he's gonna keep it. And Carey Price is on the Montreal Canadiens, still being paid $10 million a year. Logan Couture is not going to retire until he gets his 2 more years at $8 million after this year. I mean, we won't hear anything until 2027, in my opinion. I mean, not to, but that's just kind of how it works with these hockey players that have these nice deals that don't end up finishing them out. I mean, no different for the Caps and TJ Oshie and Nick Backstrom. Those,
Yeah,
I think both their deals are off this year. But just my thoughts that's probably why we won't hear anything officially about Logan Couture.
Yeah,
unless he is physically can come back to play. I mean, Landeskog is going to be the same thing for Colorado. Unfortunately, it looks like. So,
speaking of Oshie, I got to show you something really quickly from the closet, from the jersey vault.
Okay, yeah.
My wife's calling me. I'll be right back.
Okay, all right. We'll go to the close shot here, and then we'll get. Oh yeah, I love that jersey. That's a sick one. That's a good one. Oop. Sorry. There we go. Yeah, that looks great.
Yeah, that was a subscriber gift. Like 2 of my channel moderators bought me this thing.
That's very cool.
Crazy.
Yeah. I have a OV one of that style, of that reverse retro. But the black one is probably my favorite jersey of all time. So the Black Capitals reverse retro from 2023, and they've worn a bunch this year. Yeah, I would love to see Ovi break the record wearing that jersey, to be quite frank, because he wore the white, one. So it is what it is. So I could say this. I think that you're looking at a really bright future for the Sharks. You're going to be a top 3, top 5 lottery pick, top 3 probably, right? I mean, it'll be, and I know that you have Dickinson and this Magubada Doolin kid. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Luka
Doolin, yeah.
Yeah, and Dickinson's coming. If you get in the top 3, who would you like? I like if a guy like James Higgins falls to you guys, if you're like the second, because it looks like Matthew Schaefer is maybe going to be the consensus number 1 overall pick. I always feel it's a little weird to see a defenseman go, but I know this draft isn't a super deep draft, but you're going to get a good player in the top 3, I'm guessing. So what are you thinking?
Yeah.
What are you thinking draft wise for the San Jose Sharks and maybe where they go? Or are you familiar? Do you follow the prospects? I know the Capitals have a kid, Andrew Cristal, really good. He's playing up the road from you in Spokane. Yeah, so you could go see him play for the Chiefs.
Go Chiefs, go. Yeah.
Dude, I love the Chiefs. That's my team, man.
Right on. Go. They're especially since they got Crystal, they are such a wagon between him and cracking 7th or 8th overall pick from last year, Berkeley Catton. I'm going to be like, who knows about what's coming this spring. I might be watching the Chiefs more than the Stanley Cup playoffs and they have wrecked. I know that they've beaten Everett like one time. Everett's been like the top team. They won like 10-3 in their last meeting. Like they're damn good. Not to mention Dawson Cowan, the goaltender, was in Sharks training camp this past year, and I think he's like 19. I think the Sharks should try to sign him as like a UFA, as a free agent. He's not getting drafted.
And maybe you should scout for him and start emailing Mike Greer. Hey, this kid looks great.
That's true. I'm sorry, I totally took things off topic there.
No, you're fine. Yeah, no, I was glad to talk to Sharks. I remember being in the early '80s in the Spokane Coliseum, and they had the beautiful Spokane Chiefs logo painted on the wall. Probably lead paint and stuff back then too. Like I said, they don't play there anymore. I know that. So
yeah, they've been at the arena downtown since I think '95.
Yeah, that's how old I am, dude. Like we're old in this. We're old, dude. I'm 2 years from 50. Pearlo, you're over 50. Rico's like right there with me. We're old, man. We're old guys. So,
well, I hide it pretty well myself too. But what was I going to say? Oh yeah, I don't personally follow prospects much.
But you kind of know who the Sharks have in their system. Yeah.
And it was cool because I got to see Carson Wetch and the guy who I actually wanted, who got snatched up by the Senators last year, and that was Carter Yakimchuk. They play for the Calgary Hitmen, and I see them play Spokane. And oh boy, like damn, I really wish they got Yakimchuk, because if we talk about what the Sharks need the most, it's not in this draft. And I know it's a position that's often coveted. They need that thumping right shot, heavy hitting defenseman, and they don't have that in their system right now.
Yeah.
So, and I think that I think it's probably too early to make this call. I think back to when the Sharks had Tomas Hertl. He started as a winger, and then eventually he was solidified as a centerman full time.
Sure.
Because the thing is that apart from Macklin and Celebrini, when you look at the prospect pool, the young talent, the next center, the guy who's playing center right now, I believe he's playing center, drafted as a center, is Philip Biestet, who was selected kind of at the end of the first round back in 2022. That was Greer's first draft, although he'd just come into the position. So he's kind of like the next true center in the prospect pool. So it kind of depends on what you have envisioned for Will Smith. He's not like I like the centers to be kind of physical, right? Someone like Barkov. You had Barkov and Bennett, right?
What about Eklund though? I know he's young, but could he play? Could he play center for you guys? He seems very elite defensively. Like he has that in him.
I think so. He hasn't been playing center very much so far. And I like him at wing. I mean, if he's able to, play well defensively and along the boards. I don't know if they have the thought of, trying him out at center again. But I think I might be jumping to conclusions a little bit, but maybe Michael Misa would be the guy for them, because I just like that he has more size than Higgins does. But if they choose Schaefer, I'm not going to complain. It's just
if you get the number 1 pick, you probably are taking Schaefer, I would assume, but he's a left shot D. So that doesn't get the right shot that you're wanting there.
Yeah.
You got some guys. You have the kid from Sudbury, Quentin Musty. He looks like he could be a player. They've got some guys there. Bordelot, not a guy you see playing center. Thomas Bordelot.
Well, he hasn't broken into the into the Sharks this year. He's been pretty much in the AHL. Yeah.
23. Do you think that maybe he's just a miss at this point?
Or I don't know. I don't know if they're going to see if there's an opportunity for him to get a change of scenery. And I don't follow the CUDA very closely either. So
yeah. Tough to do, man. When you're doing NHL stuff, it's really hard unless you have a team. So it's good. Yeah. I appreciate it. So it's, yeah, I mean, I appreciate your candor on the subject. Yeah, I just, the one thing is, I love that Mike Greer played college hockey, and he's going to look at a lot of these guys, college free agents and stuff. And I feel like a lot of times you could pick up really good players from those things. And so that's something that can help build your roster a little bit quicker, especially when you're trading away guys to kind of get draft capital, because next year is what the Gavin McKenna draft. That's supposed to be a pretty heavy draft. So the talent pool, and we're going to work on getting guys. We're going to work on getting Stephen Ellis, and we'll get our friend Ryan Tubick back on from Edmonton. He does a very good job with elite prospects and stuff. So, yeah, I just, anyway, I appreciate that. Well, let's talk a little NHL, like away from the Sharks. Like, I know that it's not that you're not an NHL team, but it's one of those things where, how have you felt? Like, how's the season gone? What has impressed you? What's kept your focus? You're a West Coaster like me. You grew up on the West Coast like me, so you're used to we get to watch a lot of the Western teams, which I feel like get forgotten quite a bit. I will say this: Nick Kipriotes my friend Nick from Sportsnet gets major kudos, being one guy from Sportsnet that depict Edmonton not to win the Stanley Cup. They're not a Stanley Cup team this year, guys. I hate to tell you, and I don't care what they can add at the trade deadline, because it ain't going to be much. So, Edmonton fans, I hate it for you, but you're not making a conference finals this year, I don't think. So, Nick, why don't you expound?
I don't know if I'm your guy to hand it off to, in the sense that really this is the most checked out I've been in a few years in the NHL. That's just because looking for work and just all kinds of crazy stuff happening, unforeseen crazy stuff, and some good stuff too. But I mean, obviously, I could just talk about the Capitals, right? It's like, here was a team that couldn't score goals last year, and they were getting into the playoffs in part on the back of Charlie Lindgren. And now it's like, they can't stop scoring goals, right?
Yeah. Well, they can't keep goals out of their nets the last 2 games, but yeah, I'm with you. They lost a couple marginal teams, in my opinion, in the Flames, and tonight they lost 5-2, but empty netter to the St. Louis Blues, who aren't a playoff team. So kind of a disaster, but no Tom Wilson tonight. So, yep. Thanks for the update, Rick. Chicago is down 2-1 to Vegas. They just scored the goal ahead. Got live games going on still. I'll try to give you guys score updates without being too interruptive, but yeah, no, that's cool, man. You don't have to have an opinion on any of the teams, but Washington has been fun as a fan to watch. That's for sure. They've been really enjoyable to watch this year as a fan. So yeah, sorry, J-Rock, they're dog shit. I'm sorry. We shouldn't have lost your crappy ass team. Apologize. My friend J-Rock in the chat, who's a diehard Blues fan. I got to give him a little shit, because he's like, you're not scoring on Bennington. By the way, Ovi has like 3 goals in 4 games on Bennington. So that's why they didn't play him tonight. They put in Ryan Hofer, no goals. Ovi didn't have any real scoring chances that I saw tonight anyway. So anyway, I digress.
I think an interesting storyline, though, would be kind of how in the Eastern Conference we're finally starting to see a bit of a changing of the guard. I mean, you still have Florida out there. You still have Toronto, right? Yep. Tampa's still not going away, even though I figured that they would miss the playoffs this year.
Oh, but, wow.
I don't know. They just seem like they're kind of like what I used to say about the Avalanche before, like 4 years ago. It's kind of like they're a little too one-dimensional. Right. The power play is where they're going to get all their goals. But anyway, you have, of course, Columbus having what I think has been.
They had a great game tonight. They stomped the Red Wings 5-2. Big win for the Blue Jackets. Rico's got it. We've been, I got the Johnny Hockey jersey hanging in the back here. for sure. We're all devastated by that. It's a good story. I even said if the Capitals end up playing the Blue Jackets the first round, I wouldn't even be that sad if the Blue Jackets won, just because it's such a good story, you know. But I mean, obviously, I want to see the Caps go on and win another cup before Ovi retires. The year he breaks Gretzky's record would be pretty cool. I feel like I hate it for you. This has been one of my favorite seasons just because there's so much parity. We had the Four Nations. I don't know if you got to watch or do any of that. And then, you know, now we've got Ovi breaking the goal and then the trade deadline. And then we're going right into the Stanley Cup playoffs. So I really expect this to be, there's not a clear cut favorite to me. I feel like there's 5 or 6 teams that could win the Stanley Cup. And I love all the people discounting Washington. So I'm glad you brought them up because I do think they have a chance.
Well, it's not just one person, you know, getting the work done for them. That's the thing is that these guys who were kind of playing a little bit more in the middle six, you know, like Connor McMichael and Alexei.
Yeah, he's been good.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, these guys are popping off this year.
Yeah. And then Rico's Leafs look really good. You know, I've been really excited for them with Berube. I was not so sure about that hire. And then, you know, really kind of midway through the year, I was like, I really like how they're doing. Pearlo, you know, he's been impressed by some teams and stuff that, you know, he knows as a handicapper, he watches it pretty close too. He's paying attention to all the analytics and stuff. So sorry. I keep my my ESPN Plus is not working great tonight. I can tell you that much, boys. I keep trying to. I've had some problems with this this game, so we'll see. Yeah. Well, I don't have much more for you, Nick. Is there anything you wanted to plug your channel or anything, and we can let you go? You've given us about 30 minutes. That's usually a good time, and we can talk gambling the rest of the show and tell everybody where to find us next week.
That's true. Yeah, I can't really weigh in on that subject in that we don't have sports betting in Idaho. So
we don't have it here in Alaska either. We can play fantasy sports things. So, but I keep a close eye on the line. But Rico and Pearlo do all the heavy lifting, and then the degenerate Bostonian, who's not on with us tonight, that I do the college hockey show on Fridays at 2 p.m. Right on the Sports Beard channel. So you can. So yeah, Nick, just plug your stuff. Tell people where they can find you on socials. I know you're on Instagram, you're on Twitter, you're on AKA X and YouTube. Just tell everybody that might not be familiar with you. I figure at this point most people know because they showed up to listen to you. But
yeah, I'm here on YouTube, Twisted Wrister Hockey, and I use the same handle for Instagram. And you can just search it on X, and I'm on there as well too. Not super active on like Instagram, but you'll see.
Yeah, I tried to tag you in there in the Instagram, but you don't allow that, so it was like, okay. No
yeah, I had to shut down so many things about like notifications and tagging and all that. Like it was during the playoffs, especially. That's when it gets really nutty. But yeah, hopefully I can be back on my channel with a video pretty soon here, or a couple of them, because it's one of my favorite things to do. Really, it's just that I haven't really had much time to sit down for hours at a time, days at a time, and because I'll spend a lot of time just working on big historical pieces as well. That's my favorite thing to do on the channel, really.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. I mean, I'm a huge fan, man. I'm a huge fan of that sort of stuff, and I love it. Keep up the good work. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day, and also, man, good luck with the job search. And you know, I hope you land on your feet there in Coeur d'Alene. Yeah. There we got Cortana. There we got Cortana.
Yeah.
I have Rico has cats, and I have 5 dogs.
There's my little partner right here.
Oh, what a loyal fluffer!
Yeah, here's one of my guys. This is KP, Kung Fu Panda, right here. So we got that, and somebody peed in my office. So I'm gonna have 3 less dogs, I think. By the time
I did get a soft offer on a job, though. They're just putting the contract together, but
good. Well, hey, good luck, man. I'm rooting for you, and I was glad to help you out with your dog, and I appreciate you taking the time to come on, man. So thank you. And guys, everybody check Nick's channel out, Twisted Wrister Hockey. Nick, thank you, man. We look forward to your next videos, and good luck, man. And you know, hope if I'm ever down in the neck of the woods, man, we'll have to link up or something. I'll shoot you a DM.
Give me a shout. I've never been to Alaska too, so I got.
Well, if you ever pop up, man, you got a free place to stay. Just hit me up. So,
I appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely, Nick. Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Have
a great
night.
one.
Thanks,
you
guys.
too, man. All right, that was awesome. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate you. Okay, boys. Well, we got 3 whole games to preview, but before we do that, hey, what's up, Patrick Mafia? Thank you for joining us. Hey, before we do that, real quick, guys, I just want to point everybody, go over to YouTube, The Sports Beard. Type in The Sports Beard, leave a like. We're broadcasting live right now on there. Subscribe, turn on notifications. We'll be doing this show from there from now on. Really appreciate Hot Take Hockey giving us this platform to kind of launch our show that we've been doing for about 18 months. And we just want to get a few more viewers. We're also getting a lot of views on X and Instagram. So I really appreciate you. And we're also on Twitch. So you can, we got some people in there. I really appreciate it. So appreciate you. Yeah, it looks like Vegas is up 3-1 thanks to our friend Rick Smith. Rick, thank you so much. I appreciate everybody. So that's just we'll leave that note that we'll be on my channel for going forward. But we really appreciate John at Hot Take Hockey for really helping us out and kind of just promoting our channel for a few weeks. Let's talk about tomorrow's games. And we don't have a show tomorrow, guys. We're back to 4 days a week. We'll be going 10:10 Eastern. So just remember 10:10 Eastern. That'll be our start time Monday through Friday, the rest of the season until the playoffs start. And then we'll kind of make up how it goes. But we're going to kick off with the Maple Leafs and Rangers. The Rangers are plus 100. Home dogs. Pearlo, you are muted and no one can hear you say anything. So you're going to have to unmute to talk about that game. Sorry. You're muted, Pearlo. You're still muted. Here, let me unmute you. I can't unmute you. You muted yourself.
Sorry about that.
There you go. You're unmuted now.
I forgot I coughed. Yeah, I can't see why the line is like that. That's the weird thing about that game. Toronto should destroy that game. Absolutely destroy that game.
Well, okay. Yeah.
The Rangers have just been surviving on a high shooting percentage, super high.
Did you watch Toronto against Boston when they were down 3-0 to a team without Charlie McAvoy and Hampus Lindholm?
Yeah,
I mean, they came back and won the game, but
that doesn't really bother me. You're playing against a Rangers team that is been surviving on a high shooting percentage. They look at the way they played against Pittsburgh. They shouldn't have won that game. You could make a case that they really shouldn't have won the game.
Oh, they definitely shouldn't have won that game. I agree. I agree.
Even the game against the Islanders, it just
they got outshot like
broken
40.
out a bad night.
Yeah,
there's no way that I don't see that happening against Wall or Stolars. So I say Toronto just ruins that game. I think you're getting a wonderful price for Toronto.
By the way, Sorokin had 38 saves. 38 saves tonight and beat Boston 2-1. So
yeah,
what do you got back?
What about you, Rico? It's your team.
Yeah, and that's why they're hard to bet on night in and night out. But I think the Leafs are focused coming out of the break. I know the Rangers won a couple in a row too, so
they got to keep winning.
Tough game, man. And my heart says the Leafs. So, I mean, I'm just going to lay off this game. Toronto should win this game. Stolars is playing amazing since he's been back. So,
is Mike Fiore still in the chat? I'm taking the Rangers plus 100. I need a Rangers fan to witness this. Tell my wife. Tell my Rangers fan wife. So, yeah, I like Robertson, Patrick. Okay, Kings Stars plus 120. Plus 120 for the Kings as a road dog against the Stars.
I don't mind LA in this spot. Dallas is coming off a bit of a weirdly long road trip as well too. It just came in and out of the break, so their travel's been a little bit all over the place. Yeah, I don't mind the Kings in this spot.
Okay, Pearl, how are you feeling?
It's a tough one because LA is not really the team I like to take on the road all that much. But they're coming off a loss. It's going to be one hell of a close game. I think it's going to be a tight game. I'll take the draw, and maybe LA wins in overtime.
Okay, yep. I think LA lost Wednesday in overtime to the Canucks.
Yeah.
Shows you how valuable Quinn Hughes is being back in the lineup. Yeah, Wild Avalanche. Boy, the Avalanche look real good with Marty Natchez in lineup. He's playing on the half wall. It's changing McKinnon's game a little bit. McKinnon's getting a little bit more goals. I've been real impressed with the Avalanche. What do you guys like here? Obviously, guys, Eriksson being out, Kaprizov still out. I love the Wild, but there's a reason they're plus 190 in this game. How are you guys feeling?
It's tough, man. I mean, when Makar called out the team and then they go and just kick the snot out of them last night, I mean, I think Colorado keeps rolling a bit. I could probably see a Colorado regulation win just to get some type of value here. But
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I'm looking at too. I think Makar calling it the team isn't going to just stop after one game. It's going to roll into this one. And Minnesota's just in a rough spot with all their injuries. Without Eck, that team isn't the same at all. It's just not the same. Like Kaprizov is huge. Don't get me wrong, but it's something like the energy comes out of that team as soon as you took Eck. That's why I took Utah last night. And by morning time, they were like, minus 180 or something like that. And last night they were minus 120, and I loved it. And so I took Utah. I can't see Minnesota winning too many games without Eck in the lineup. He's one of the most underrated shutdown centers.
Okay,
in the league.
this is Wild and Avalanche. You keep saying Utah. I'm confused.
I talked about Utah last night. It's the reason why I took Utah tonight was because Eck wasn't in the lineup. So I'm not going to change.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. Yeah.
Now that
Utah,
they're playing
by the way,
against, now that they're playing
Utah's
against Colorado, I'm not going to. Now that they're playing against Colorado, I'm not going to change that.
Real quick, live games. Predators are up 2-1 on the Jets. That's 28 seconds left to go. The Preds are about to end the 11-game winning streak of the Jets. So if you pick the Predators, which I said do because the line was so ridiculous, you're going to win some money in 28 seconds. The Wild, the Wild are losing 3-1 to the Utah Hockey Club, as Pearlo was saying. Vegas is up 3-1. They're about to go on a power play. The Canucks are up 2-0 on the Ducks. This is good for the Canucks. They're starting to win games. And finals of earlier games, guys, Islanders win 2-1 over the Bruins. That's all she wrote on the Bruins, I think, for the year. Sharks and Canadians, 4-3. Canadians win in overtime. Blue Jackets beat the Wings 5-2. I don't think that was an empty netter either. At the end, no, it was. Kirill Marchenko, 24th of the year, by the way. Flames get smoked by the Lightning 3-0. That's what good teams do to bad teams. They beat them. And then the Oilers lose to the Panthers 4-3. They got a late goal with the empty netter, though. So that game was actually about 4-2 late in that game. I thought it was the best game I've seen Edmonton play in a while, though. So they have a little bit more to hang on their hat on, but that's their fourth straight loss. So tomorrow's games, Maple Leafs, Rangers, Kings, Stars, Wild, Avalanche. The boys have all given your picks except Rico. You haven't given your pick, but I'm guessing you're taking Avs as well here against the Wild.
Yeah, Colorado in regulation just to get some type of value on this.
Yeah. And there's 19 games over the weekend. The big one Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern. The Blue Jackets and the Red Wings at the Horseshoe in Columbus, the Stadium Series game. That's going to be awesome on ESPN, ESPN Plus. I'm assuming Disney Plus. If you have Sportsnet or Sportsnet Plus, that's who's covering it in Canada, Rico?
Yeah.
Yep. And then any other games? Oilers at Hurricanes. Again, that's an interesting one. Kane's looking good now. Rantanen got on the board. Saravelli came out and said in the trade they had already negotiated with Rantanen, blah, blah, blah. So it looks like they knew that this was going to be a fit. And now it's starting. I mean, it's taking some time, but they're starting to work it out. So that's good stuff. I don't go ahead, Rico. Go ahead.
Sorry, just because you were talking about Carolina, Jordan Staal goal prop tonight. I just had a feeling with Carolina struggling a little bit, he was going to step up. He had the second line top center role, center on the second line, paying plus 470. And he scored.
Did you hit that?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry I missed that because I was kind of keeping close eye on that game early and then switched it off when it kind of got out of control. And I should have known because that was the first goal of the game. So I should have led with that. Well, you were late, so you can only blame yourself.
Absolutely.
You can only blame yourself. But Rico, here the goal scoring prep. Yeah. Okay. Pretty cool, man. Well, anyway, I really appreciate everybody. We could talk a little bit about trades or call it a night. I just wanted to give you guys so next week there'll be the trade deadline Friday. Of course, we'll have a show live at 10 p.m. Eastern to talk about all the stuff. I believe Hot Take Hockey will be live, so definitely check out his channel live on. I'm assuming he'll be live at 7 a.m. Eastern. So I will not be up at 7 a.m. Eastern, folks. I'm going to be sleeping. So, but I'll be up probably around 9 a.m. Eastern. So I'll be listening and chiming in, and it'll be cool. So check it out. And then we'll be live 10 p.m. to kind of talk about everything. Teams got to make some moves here. Anybody, anything you want, any wish lists? This is our last show this week before next week. And I anticipate we will see some trades this weekend. What are you guys thinking? What do you want to see? Who do you want to see? Who do you want to see go where? Or Rico, Leafs, part of me wants. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say it's all over the place, but apparently Brad Treliving's in talks to try to get the Shen brothers over to Toronto. It'd be kind of a cool story to see them both there. And we've also mentioned before Brandon Tanev as well, too. His brother, Tanev brothers.
So you get the Tanevs and the Shens. Yeah, I believe that those moves will have to be off-season moves, especially when it comes to Braden Shen. Not to burst your bubble, I don't know how the Leafs are going to fit $6.5 million under their cap for 6 more years. For
St. Louis is trying to make the playoffs too. So
and they keep beating good teams. So what are you going to do there? It's like I think Luke Shen could get traded easily. He doesn't have any trade protection and. His cap hit's not very bad, and boy, that would be nice. Mead makes sense for Toronto too, just a little bit more defensive depth there. But you got to give to get. So who are you giving up? So, J Rock thinks Braden Shen isn't going anywhere. Yeah, I think he because he has a no trade clause and stuff. Sounds like he really likes St. Louis. I think most guys that live there really like it. So I think it's fairly cheap and pretty family friendly kind of area. So I kind of think they just kind of get, and the weather's pretty decent. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, J Rock, you guys don't have too long a winter there. So I know it's not terrible. So I think Jared McCann doesn't get traded, Sal. I think that, Patrick Mafia saying Grabenkin. That's who they would trade. Grabenkin. Who's that?
Well, that's the Leafs kid, Gerbenkin. Back check, forecheck, paycheck. That kid.
Oh, yeah, that guy. Is he back down in the A then? Is he playing for the Barleys, or has he just been a black ace for the Leafs? Because he doesn't make much, right? No, it says he's on the Leafs roster. It says he's on the NHL roster, yeah. Just right wing, 21 years old, 2 years, $875. Looks like he's up with the team because Connor Dewar's on the IR. So you're getting relief there.
Pacioretty's hurt too.
Yeah, and they've been doing smart with him. Like they knew they couldn't play him every night, but they, like if he's like in the playoffs, maybe you get him. But I feel like he's probably an every other night guy even there. Wow, Vegas 5-1. Well, that makes sense because the Blackhawks are abysmal.
Oh my God. There was a lot of people on the Blackhawks at least to come out and make a game out of this after everything that's been going on.
Yeah, they're not good. I don't know why Seth Jones is being killed. He didn't say anything wrong. They haven't improved from the beginning of the season. Pearlo was on this. He didn't like any of the moves they made. And I honestly think that Kyle Davidson's job might be in jeopardy, man. I don't like calling for people's jobs, but this is they were supposed to not be one of the worst teams in the league. And they are clearly the only team worse than them is San Jose. And San Jose has got like our friend Nick said tonight, if they didn't trade Granlund, Ceci, they've moved some guys out, obviously Mackenzie Blackwood, but I think Ascroft is the future there. I think all the moves long-term are really going to pay off for Greer, and they're competitive. You guys, we've said this. You could bet plus 1.5 on the Sharks, and you're probably up 60%. How many games have they lost by more than 1 goal this year? Even now, as shorthanded as they are, they're still doing really good. So, Josh says, from Kevin Weeks, the team's kicking on the left shot, right shot D that the Sharks asked for a 2nd-round pick, a good defenseman prospect, and a 3rd-round pick. If I'm Colorado Avalanche, I'm giving that up tomorrow. Like, I'm giving up a 2nd and a 3rd-round pick and a prospect that you have in your pool for, I don't know if they have any elite level prospects that aren't playing at their club level, but I take that because Colorado has $4.8 million in cap space right now. They could fit all of Ferraro's 375 in there. They need a right shot D because Josh Manson's been banged up, and really he probably could be dropped to the 3rd pair. Sam Malinsky started off really well, but he's dropped off. So if you could add to your 2nd pair of Mario Ferraro, that would really fill out for them. And they just need another piece. Maybe they throw in Winberg or something. I don't know. Cal Ritchie is a guy I know that a lot of people have. I doubt Colorado trades him, but maybe a young Nikita Prishkapov or something like that, like someone in there that they like. Maybe there hasn't been a lot on there. Yeah, but J-Rock, he didn't even sign with that general manager. The whole regime changed. So I tell you what I heard today that makes a ton of sense. Just terminate the contract. Seth Jones agreed to terminate the contract and re-sign a 5-year deal because basically all the money's been paid to him. There'll be a $5 million bonus paid to Chicago July 1 regardless, and they'll be on the hook for that. But Chicago's not in any kind of cap trouble, so it's absolutely no problem there. And then Jones could sign a 5-year, $7 million deal and get $35 million. He's owed 36. That's all he's owed left in his deal. Even though he's a 9.5 salary cap, all his deal was front loaded. So he could terminate the contract and how many teams would take Seth Jones at $7 million for 5 years? I'd take him on my team right flipping now, even as good as so like Colorado, he almost never he could have been drafted there. Colorado could use him. They could figure it out. Maybe you don't sign him to a huge deal this year and you figure it out on the back end next year. You just sign him for like 4 or 5 and then load the bonuses or whatever. So I think you should mutually terminate it too. When I heard that, I think Merrick was the one I heard that from today, and I was like, that is freaking brilliant. So he's not awful, Avi. He's on a terrible team. He doesn't have anybody else to play with him. How many defensemen do you know that can control a game by themselves? They don't exist. There just isn't anybody there. If Cale Makar was on the Chicago Blackhawks, they wouldn't be that good. I'm not saying he would be as bad as Jones, but I think Jones is still a top 4 for sure. So Chicago is a dumpster fire, Blended says. The management took Lashenov over Demidov. Bedard won't. Yeah, but Demidov wouldn't have been playing this year in the league anyway because of the contract situation in KHL. I think Levshunov, I think the upside is there. When Chicago has Korchinski, Levshunov, Vlasic in their lineup, they're going to be tough to beat. And look, Chicago's going to have a real good chance to have a number 1 pick. They could get a James Higgins. They could get the Schaefer kid. So they could add to that defensive core. I think, they've got, Michael Misa, like our friend Nick said, there's some good players coming. So the Chicago's got to add, and they've got some talent there in their minor leagues too, that just, you got to be patient on. That's the one thing I love about the Blackhawks. If you're a fan, they're not forcing their guys up to the NHL. If they're not ready, like Korchinski played a lot of last year in the NHL. He's played none this year. Good for them. That's some good decisions. That's why I think hopefully Davidson's able to keep his job there and we're able to see. So, well, Pearlo, did you guys have any other picks? Anything else you want to talk about before we final thoughts? This could be final thoughts.
I was going to get into with Jones. Yeah.
Yeah, go.
No, I'm just saying, like, he's a lot better than he gets credit for. He's had a rough year defensively this year, but I can't see any reason why he couldn't get back to what he was 2 years ago, even defensively. But offensively, he's still really good. And right D, that's
Terminate the contract.
That's 7.5. He's going to play in people's top 4. He's every bit as good as Hamilton in New Jersey.
Well, terminate the contract. The Dallas Stars trade Matt Dumba and a second-round pick to the Chicago Blackhawks for nothing and pick up Seth Jones at 5 times 7 and throw him in your lineup as a top 4 right-wing guy. And when you get Heiskanen back, you're looking amazing with that defensive depth. If I would do the same thing if I'm the Florida Panthers. The Florida Panthers need to add some defensive depth to their team. They don't have any cap space, though. So they're going to have to figure out how to get some cap space freed up. I don't know how you do it. Maybe Tkachuk goes on IR if he's not coming back.
To get that. I had something worked out on that. Yeah, I had something worked out on that, but I can't remember what it was. But it was for Carlson, and they would have to go to Chicago. Pittsburgh would retain, Chicago would retain, and then it went to Florida. So I don't think it would work out.
Well, and you gotta give a ton up to get 2 teams to retain. So they just don't have the prospects. So
we just give a second to Chicago and Pittsburgh gets a third or something like that. And
they don't have to trade him. They literally could just mutually agree to terminate his contract. He's owed $36 million minus not counting the $5 million bonus that he will get from Chicago July 1st, regardless if he's on the roster or not. So if they mutually terminate the contract, even though he's a 9.5, that removes removes it from both the team and the player. There's no longer a $9.5 million salary cap on Chicago, and any team could sign him. Now, why would they not do so? But you could work something out where a team sends you like a pick or something for future considerations and then just terminate that deal. And then, Jones can sign with said team. So, and he could actually sign for like the league minimum this year and not worry about it because he's basically been paid most of his salary anyway and go to a really, really good team. But if you're trying to lock him up for like 5 years, you could add, if you do it 5 times 7, it's $35 million. That's $1 million less that he's owed right now by the Chicago Blackhawks. So, yeah, I get you, Patrick, but Chicago doesn't need the picks or the prospects at this point. So, I don't, maybe you slide a player over with cap, like we said, Dumba or something, but like you're not going to get anything significant for him. Everybody knows he wants to be traded and he wants to be traded. And to me, the termination.
I think if you're going to do that, you have to have a conversation with the other team, terminate the contract. The league's not going to, and then you take another player, you trade it to that team, and they give you like an overpay for that player.
Well, look, we had this already with Brandon Saad and the Blues. He terminated his deal. He was owed $5 million. He didn't even sign that much with the
Vegas. But they didn't get any return for him.
No, they didn't because they weren't going to get anything for him. They were going to put him on waivers, and no one was going to claim him. So. Yeah, and he wasn't going to report. That's what happened. He got put on waivers. Now, that being said, if Seth Jones got put on waivers, who could claim him that's a playoff team?
Nobody.
What are you talking about?
It's a playoff team right now?
The Columbus Blue Jackets have $18 million.
In cap but I don't think he's going back to Columbus.
He actually said he would love to go back to Columbus.
Oh, is that right? Oh, okay.
Yes. So just throw him back up on the top line with Zach Growinski when they were dominant. And this would be their decor. Zerwinski at left wing. They have Severson. They have Provorov at right D. They have Gabranskin at right D. They have Dante Fabro at right D. They don't need Seth Jones. That's the problem. But they have the cap space to bring him in right now for nothing. If they waived him, they can claim him. So Josh says from rumors, left wing. Yeah, I keep hearing that. I would love Alex Tuck. I would love to see like the Caps make a run at Alex Tuck. He's great. Peyton Krebs, I don't think you get much for. Dylan Cousins is probably the big thing there. And I think if Buffalo doesn't move Bowen Byram, that everybody should be fired there. Because they've got to figure out what they're doing. They don't need 3 left shot Ds of that quality. They've got to figure it out there. You got to get something for him. Bowen Byram to like a San Jose would be a terrible thing either. That they're kind of a growing team. He's still a very young player. Isn't he only like 24 years old? So I think he's pretty young. Rico, any trade wishes, final thoughts you got that you're like, oh man, this would be you. I know you said the Shen brothers and stuff, but like something that maybe you haven't heard or you feel like, man, this would be cool. I'd love to see this guy on the team. Nothing you've heard on the radio or anything, but your own.
Yeah, I don't know. Colton Parayko for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
Yeah, I don't think you're doing that. I don't think if you're doing that, it's an off-season move, and I don't think you're doing that if you're Doug Armstrong or Alex Steen. I'll be honest with you. I watch a lot of Oilers. I haven't noticed much from Ryan Nugent-Hopkins this year. Where's Oilers fans? Shout at me. Tell me I'm stupid. At me at beard_sports. But J-Rock, I'd throw up. Do you know Parayko? I didn't even realize he had 14 goals. By the way, tonight, literally, the Caps lost to the former Edmonton Oilers. Broberg had the first 2 goals, and Holloway had the third. And they lost the game 5-2, but really it was a 4-2 game with an empty netter. And Parayko got a goal, but I just think Ryan Nugent-Hopkins probably doesn't fetch you anything. If you're Edmonton, you maybe look to move him just because he's $5.5 million for 4 more years, but he's 31 years old now. He still looks 12, by the way.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if Edmonton moved on Hopkins. He's been like their diehard there, and he's taken less money.
He doesn't cost a lot of money. That's the thing. He's not a huge cap.
He's taken less money, and Edmonton.
He has a no movement clause too, so they really.
He has an NMC, and they just won't move.
He has it's no movement.
I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm like, it'd be
cool. But you were saying you'd like to see it happen.
Oh yeah.
That'd be great.
I mean, I don't know why. Why would you root for Edmonton? I mean, you want to see
he likes his Canadian teams.
Well, no, but you want to see your team do well, right? You want to see the Leafs do. I liked Jay Baruchel the other day, who's a diehard Montreal Canadiens fan. He goes, I can't have the Leafs winning. He goes, you'd be okay with the Jets. He said, not Vancouver. He goes, when Boston played him, he rooted against Vancouver. I was laughing. I thought that was great. A Montreal fan, bro. If you guys know Jay Baruchel, he's been in a bunch of movies. Obviously, he was in Knocked Up and stuff. So, all right, guys. We appreciate everybody. Like I said, head over to the Sports Spirit on YouTube. Leave a like, subscribe. We're live on that. I'd like to get our subscription base up. We're going to work on more guests and doing stuff like this. We really appreciate Hot Take Hockey for letting us come on his thing. I appreciate everybody for giving us their thoughts. And we will catch you guys next week. Next Monday, we'll be back. 10:10 Eastern is going to be we're going to try that time. I think 10:10 kind of fits a little bit better. Gives me a little bit of room to maneuver here at the home just because it's like 6 o'clock here. And same, Pearlo and Rico, it's not so late for them. So I appreciate them always hanging out and always giving us their time and great bets. So I appreciate all you guys. Boys, any final thoughts before I let the stream go? No? All right. Peace.
No, I'm good.